So I'm very happy to be back in New York City and here at the Darshan room. I'm fondly remembering you from last year.
Really?
Yes. And so, anyway, I just came from a different engagement. I just want to share that before we start. And this engagement was, we're invited for a lunch. So initially it was, okay, you come for lunch, and then could you bring some friends maybe with you? An Indian home, Bengali home. So they take great pleasure in satisfying the guests by giving them a good meal. So of course they don't cook just for one or two. If there's 5 coming, they cook for 50. So we just went through that happy reciprocation where the host wants to see you eat as much as you can eat and more. And you find that you can reciprocate to a certain point. After some time, we were just, you have to put your hands over the plate to say, no, enough. And then they feel happy, oh yes, he's definitely satisfied. So I share this to say that relationships are based on reciprocal exchanges. Today we are meeting, most of us, for the first time. And actually our goal is to connect with you, to create a relationship. And this relationship is based on sharing. What we are sharing is what has been shared to us coming down for thousands of years, and specifically based on the Bhagavad Gita. There is crystallized the wisdom that helps us to navigate life, to answer the big questions, and to actually tap in to our greatest potential, which is our spiritual potential. So Nityananda asked me at some point to share a topic. I was at the airport. What you going to speak about in a few days? And I was trying to sort out my ticket. And I was thinking, interesting, a tough situation was there. I was not allowed to leave the country because my passport didn't have one extra page. The immigration guy insisted. I was showing him throughout the different parts of the passport, you can fit a stamp, a couple of them. No, the law is that you have to have one free page for your passport. I'm sorry, but you won't be able to fly. So, and I had made a new passport. Before I left, I applied it. It takes about 2 weeks or so. When I returned from Singapore and Malaysia, I picked it up. And here's another relationship. This is also still part of our topic, which is Bhakti like false advertising? So I got the communication from the heart. Sarvajña, just put the new passport in your bag, take it with you. And then good old mind came up, nah, you don't need, now you're going to be having 3 passports. I have an old one with the visa. I had the one that was almost full, and then a new one. No, just leave it. You will use it when you come back for your other trips to your Schengen visa. So I put it aside somewhere. As soon as the immigration officer said, you don't have enough pages, you can't fly, immediately I couldn't remember. I was given guidance to take this passport, and I didn't respond. In fact, I listened to my mind. So this is saying that we are not actually on our own, that we have on board a guide, a friend, a well-wisher, who's helping us navigate life, which brings us surprises. You know, you've already paid everything, you think this will happen and that will happen, and bang, all of it has to be cancelled. We had to get another ticket to cover that so we can come. So when it is said that the human being is not just the physical body, but the living spark, and when it's mentioned that within that same heart there is the supreme soul, who is the friend and the witness, someone may be skeptical. Nah, come on. What indwelling guide? Who has seen that indwelling guide? Of course, in the scriptures it's described that the super soul is like thumb height, dwelling there within the heart. So we're not alone. Others may resent that also. Why is there like some big brother system, you know? Why should God be right there in my heart spying on me? But it's all based on love. That if I love you and I care for you, then I want to make sure that I give you the best guidance, protection. So I give you knowledge. Sometimes I allow you to forget things. All of that is almost like the parent protecting the child as the child moves around this dangerous world or this tricky world. So how can it be said that we can perfect our lives when in this world it's always stated that nobody's perfect? You've heard that. Nobody's perfect. But still we find that we are looking for perfection. We want people to do things to the highest possible point. Basically, we want perfection out of others. We ourselves also beat ourselves up if we don't do things perfectly. So why do we aspire for perfection if in our correct understanding we all know nobody is perfect? Or we demand a divorce because someone else acted imperfectly. Or we end the relationship because somebody made a mistake or didn't live up to some promise. So that means, although we say nobody's perfect, deep down we don't believe it. Or at least we want somebody who's perfect. And this desire for something that is perfect doesn't match with the reality we live in. So where does it come from? How is it that we are looking for perfection in a place where we know nobody's perfect? So it is pointing to our spiritual origin. So in Bhakti, it is not said that you will become perfect in that you will not stumble, you will not fall, you will not make mistakes. But in Bhakti, this perfection is that we know we have a well-wisher who is perfectly merciful, perfectly graceful, who understands us more than we understand ourselves and is actually our well-wisher. Krishna is ready to support us, pick us up, encourage us through it all. And so the perfection that is being sold is the willingness to align with Krishna's guidance. The willingness to stumble, get up, dust yourself, and get back to your friend. Oh, that didn't go as planned, Krishna. But this is my sincere desire. I'd love to get back to the perfect relationship, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the perfect relationship, and Krishna is trying to offer that to us. In secular society, there are many courses that are being sold. You pay $499 and you attend 10-day this and that so that you become the best version of yourself. So everyone is looking, they want the best version. And it's advertised properly, you may pay the money. But then again, after the seminars, you trickle back to default settings. And then there's that growing distrust. There's nothing out there really that can fully bring out the best version of myself. Of course, materially speaking, we can make improvements, but we can never improve out of the conditions of material nature. Like we can never improve to a point where there is no diseases, because the design says everyone must get disease in this world. Although we can sell the idea of no more dying, right? Human is the 2.0 or 3.0. We get, we'll upload your consciousness onto the cloud and you can merge with the digital environment, or we put your body in some cryogenic situation, freeze it, and when we've conquered these conditions of material nature, then we will defrost you and you can live forever. So these are being sold, but Bhagavad Gita wants to help us break this sort of dream. We're being sold the conditions of the spiritual world in the material world. No, deathlessness is our birthright by being souls. That is part of what we are. There's no dying for the soul. Krishna teaches that in the 2nd chapter. Krishna is saying, by love, you can get to know me as I am. You can enter into the mystery of my existence. You can see me face to face. So he reserves the right to reveal himself. He'll reveal himself to those who have proven that they're interested in loving him and being in a relationship. So now, what is the secret to building up this relationship, coming up towards perfection? The Bhagavatam is discussing that our approach should be without ulterior motives. It's a beautiful verse, Savai Pungsang Parodamo Yato Bhakti Ahaitukia Pratyata Yayatma Suprasidati. That the highest platform of devotion or connection or love is where one is approaching divinity without some ulterior motive. What could be ulterior motive? I remember when I started Bhakti, we met the devotees at a campus, and we just thought they've got some technique we'll do, and maybe in 3 weeks we'll be self-realized. But this self-realized, we were seeing ourselves, sitting somewhere, and people are coming to marvel at this mystic who can perform miracles, or come here, my child, I'll read your mind, and or will manifest things. So it wasn't to know the Supreme or to serve, but it was more like to get some mystic power. Or the motivation may be, I want to gain knowledge. All of this is good. I'm having a bad time financially. Then I want to approach the Supreme. I have some things that I'm inquisitive about. What does Bhagavad Gita have to say about this? Krishna says this is all good. Those people who come with motivations, But out of all of these, the one who wants knowledge is the best. Because if you want money, what if you get the money, then that's it, relationship finished. Thank you very much. If you're inquisitive, you may discover, okay, this is how they do it compared to this group or that group. Then that's sorted, you're on your way. But if you're looking for knowledge of the absolute truth, that means that rabbit hole doesn't end. Because the object of knowledge is infinite. And every aspect of that supreme personality of Godhead presents ever new and ever fresh dimensions. So it can never be conquered. Now I know everything that is to know about Krishna. I can retire. So Krishna is offering this unending adventure in love. So to perfect bhakti begins right when one accepts the principles that are given by the perfect being. Just like to get a mango that is sweet and ripe, they offered us mango today also at that house. Yeah. From the seed that's being planted in the ground, and if you cover it and you start to water it, you are already on your way to getting ripe mangoes. So, what to speak of when the mango is there and you can see a green one? You can criticize the green mango. It's not the best aspect of the mango, but by its connection to the tree, give it time, it will become ripe and sweet. So this type of practice, you don't have to wait for death to get the result. Krishna says it gives direct perception of the self by realization. Prataksha dhammam, prataksha vagamam dhammam. So when we approach, whether through hearing, we just did mantra meditation, through hearing the texts, already one is being in touch with the spiritual platform. And you can perceive the difference. We're going to do a bit of chanting at the end. Without having to explain what it is, if you take part, you yourself have your own personal experience that it's a different platform, it's a different vibration. So what is false advertising in this world is that at some point, the material world, by some material arrangements, will produce a sense of safety, a sense of complete joy, and a sense of connection. Material world means things will always change, things are temporary, and every deal that is being offered has so many T's and C's that even whatever joyful thing, pleasurable thing, on the other side of it is the payment, which is not as advertised. We may all have experience of club life, going to the clubs. If you don't, you're fortunate. Nothing, you're not missing much. First of all, it's at the time when you have to be going to bed. Maybe when you get older, you start to value good rest. When you're younger, it's like, you want to be out. Let's go. Nighttime can be a little cold. Then you have to, get the right fashion for going out. When you're younger still, you may not have the right transport, certain parts. Then you have to pay to get into the club. And then in the clubs, even the stimulations for happiness are also costly. And then ultimately, we're trying to connect with some people there. We're looking for good times, means relationships. It's loud in there. And you become a little creepy trying to talk to people because you have to be in their ear and screaming. And it's smelly in there. And also it's a den of intoxicated competitors, you know. They will say it's free until midnight or whatever for the ladies, you know. That's like the prey. You stuff it with the ladies, and then the men will want to pay because, in there's like, we may capture some sheep. So everyone goes, they pay the price, they take the austerity. The following day is a lot of, I wish it could have gone this way or that way or the other. We won't get into the details. They don't serve us on our journey now. But point is this, is that the advertisements are saying come to Club 603 and have the time of your life. And this is every weekday or every weekend. And the result is practically the same. If you've gone to 3, you've probably gone to all of them. So this is the mature platform. That the hope and the advertisement that's sold for happiness, for peace, for connection is big time. And there's a lot of upsell there because lots of money is being paid for this. But on the flip side, if you gathered everyone and took their honest review, you can tell that it's all tired, it's been done. The Srimad Bhagavatam talks about a concept of chewing the chewed. So you can, just to leave a very vivid, not so palatable memory with you. This is all in the mood of love and relationships. So who here likes like a nice apple pie or something? Yeah, apple pie kinda everybody likes, yeah? So, okay, we want you to enjoy apple pie. But first, I will have some, and as the doctor says, for good digestion, how many times must you chew? About 32, 33, it's up there. 20, even 20 is just like too much. Anyway, so nicely chewed. And then after it's chewed, and then I say, here, for you, enjoy. Do you still want that apple pie? What if it's chewed by a significant other? Like the apple of your eye, apple pie, chewed 33 times. No? Enjoy? No. Get away from me with your apple pie.
Not even my mother.
Maybe not even you, yeah. Not even mother, yeah. So this is the situation we're caught up with. That we're doing the same things again and again because they're being advertised as sources of happiness. And so we go for it. And we go for it again and again. And we get, there's a lot of diminishing returns. But we're not so fortunate to have the opportunity to discuss our experiences with one another and be honest about how we are struggling and how we're being lied to. We're not getting what we're looking for. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we are getting an opportunity to be honest. To enjoy is natural. It springs from the soul. We're created to enjoy. But what and how we enjoy, this is what we've not been properly taught. And therefore we're being sold many things in the name of, you will enjoy like anything. But what happens is that you're just wasting all the hard-earned resources like money, time, in chewing that which has already been chewed. The generation of the 60s, they think they were the best enjoyers, 70s, they think, these kids don't know about enjoying. 80s, now every generation thinks They are the ones that know how to enjoy. But if you study, we're being shortchanged. So, okay, we may not believe in the beginning that there will be a life of ever-increasing pleasure in practicing spiritual sciences like Bhakti Yoga. But if we've made this experiment, at least let's suspend disbelief and try this experiment. And in this experiment, from the jump, you yourself can understand it's a different type of joy. There's the science of how deep it can go, but there is something at every step. And so this is the encouragement that make the experiment, get into the laboratory, make yourself the guinea pig. And give it your best shot and see what you get. So this is our cell today, is that you are a spiritual being and you are craving something of your own nature. So that means something spiritual can satisfy something spiritual. Currently, we're always spiritual beings, but we're trying to get out of matter something that can satisfy us. But we're just getting drops of it, hints at best. Now, if we take the time to absorb and take in more spiritual talks, mantra, spiritualized food, increase the circle of friends that are spiritually vibrant, then our consciousness will be imbued with that spiritual vibration, and it's a revolution. And I'll tell you, it's cheaper. And I think, if you don't understand cheap is good, then, in other senses, materially, if it's cheap, it may not stay with you for long. So sometimes it's not that good quality, but it's being sold for more. For spiritual life, it's your birthright. Therefore, we're trying very hard to give it without any cost. The only cost is just your willingness to take it in. So we thank you for coming out for the experiment, and want to encourage that if at all we say we love ourselves, then let us see the traps that the illusory energy is putting everywhere by selling us the same story that it sold our great-great-great-great-grandparents. That if you just do what the culture says, you will be happy. Therefore, many people are frustrated. They're doing everything that the culture says we should do to be happy, but we find it's not really, really clicking. So let's be rebellious. Yes, let's club at the Krishna spot. Yes, let's pay to eat spiritualized food. Let's try to see a world that's not directly before our eyes through our ears. And they're selling us Mars. Like, who here really would like to go to Mars? Get on one of those SpaceX, sometimes they explode rockets. And also what we're going to do in Mars differently. We'll still have to go to bed, try to eat, cook a meal, try to find some Mars low toilet, something, try to get some boyfriend, husband, wife, same drama. But it's for people who are hopeful, you can sell this like humanity, we are going. But if you ask even how much it will cost to go there, it's not humanity's going. To be a few who can pay a lot of money, and what will they do there? So instead of being sold these types of dreams of improved material existence, we are selling that what we want from the depths of our hearts is actually true and it does exist. Like we want love, unconditional love. We want to have all knowledge. We don't want to die. We want immortality. We want to love forever. All these concepts are real because they are spiritual, just as we are spiritual. So this is the environment where we are cultivating the actual desires of the soul. And so, yes, make that investment and report in a few months how you're feeling. There's a 100% karma back guarantee. If it's not reduced, then we'll give it back to you. Take your karma. We tried to reduce it, it didn't work. You can take it all back. But you'll find you will shed a lot of weight. So thank you. Anyone has any thoughts to share? Any complaints? Question?
I just got here. I got myself really late here to the session today, but I just heard you saying dropping, like shedding karma, you said?
Mm.
And lately I've been thinking about that and the chanting of the Maha Mantra. It's been fabulous. Yesterday I went to the Bhakti Center and gladly there is one of the sisters that is there. She got herself on the harmonium after the session was finished. Tiranda came in with the Meridanga, and then the other people added in, and we had like a power punch of the party. And for me, that was like a cleansing. Let me tell you, it was so insanely good that, oh my God, I have no words. It was so good. I got home like, why am I feeling so light and so good and so happy? So I don't know, just adding that to the whatever you guys were talking about. Sorry for my tardiness.
No, thank you for that. Yeah, you just drop heaps of like burdens that you don't know you're carrying around sometimes. Yeah.
So in the earlier part, you were talking about hearing the voice of the Lord and not responding or responding to it. And so I wrote this diary entry, 2013. I was doing the service on the altar in Dallas, and the way it was like very robotic. It's like everything, like do it quick and like precise and efficient. And then, I woke up that day. I was just like in this grumpy mood, and I was thinking, I hope nobody gets in my way. I was in my own way, and so I was thinking like this. And I dropped this whole container of like puffed rice, like they call it in America Rice Krispies, like all this puffed rice. I dropped it on the floor, made this big mess. And while I was doing all this service, I was listening to my teacher, my guru, give a lecture. And so I paused it and I cleaned up everything. And I was in this mood. And so after I cleaned it all up, I unpaused the lecture. And then the next two sentences were, sometimes we're in the proper state of consciousness and Krishna will send us a lesson and still we don't learn. And I was okay, I give up. I will give up this holding on to this mood. And then the other one I was thinking is you were mentioning the heirs of Amrita. So I have a verse from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Shinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putra. You are all children of immortality. Of Amrita. You are the heirs of the nectar of mortality.
Yes, but we've we've surrendered to this heap of, yes, you can decide what heap it is that we've surrendered to. And sometimes we are not even eager to be inspired to rise. And people feel, no, I don't want to go there because they're going to tell me to, get on the spiritual journey. They're going to remind me that I should do the chanting. So material nature is so oppressive that it drains the soul of even the desire to be inspired to rise. So such gatherings is that we're pulling together. Because alone, we don't really have the strength to reverse what's going on in society, what's going on around us in New York City. But if you band with others, like you were just at Bhakti Center, right? You didn't order that kirtan. Somebody started something, someone drum, and all of a sudden you're in this cleanse, and you're feeling you shed so much. So this is what we're doing, is that the revolution, the great escape, it won't be just individual prison breaks. We need like teamwork, collaboration. We need a tribe. Guidance. I didn't listen, and I had to pay double. So we can tune ourselves to a point where we can hear the soft voice of the inner guide, the super soul. We told an anecdote earlier, where there was guidance that came, but then the mind was louder. We followed the mind, and later, immediately you realize, I should have listened. So how do we stay fully tuned in? Is that if we keep our consciousness more and more involved. I mean, many times I've passed this test, and I'm always like, it's good, I must listen. This time around, it was a week back. The repercussions came a week later. You didn't pack it at the right time. Yes?
How do you distinguish between the mind and that inner guidance?
One aspect of it is that the inner guidance is very gentle, very soft, it's not pushy at all. It's just like very clear, maybe you shouldn't do this. You hear it, but then there's this ego kicks in, where you want to make the plan, you want to be in charge. And at a higher level, one will have the question of, sometimes I'm there trying to find guidance, but then I'm getting some guidance, but I'm not sure if it's just my mind or, the super soul. So like that, for especially important decisions, we have to consult. So there's like a 3-step process that's given. You can check with your spiritual guide, guru, check with your mentors, and also you can check with the scriptures. If whatever I'm trying to do is aligning with my highest objectives. But most of the time it's like on the run. So the mind is always thinking what will be most enjoyable. It's like passion. So it means quick fix. Whereas the super soul, it's aligned with your long-term happiness and wellness. So you could say it's goodness, calm, sober. Mind is like, So it's like, stop it with that boring plan. Let's do this. So slowly you will get to learn the difference as you do mantra meditation. You start to separate the self, the soul, from the mind. And then you also, Krishna says, those who have conquered the mind, then the super soul is reached. Then they naturally just are working based on the direction of the super soul. So it's not cheap. Like I'm practicing, and someone may think, oh, you really got it. I just failed big time recently. I was told to pack the passport, I didn't do it. The week later, I have to pay another ticket. Yeah. So it's a very delicate science where one really tunes in, and that's when the mind has been sort of conquered and made into a servant.
To go forward on that line of thinking, the process sometimes can be very long, right? To be able to discriminate
Yes.
what your inner intuition or super soul wants you to do versus what the mind does. I mean, it might be a long process, even though you might be doing your kirtan and your japa, but after you finish it, you're exposed back to the material world and day-to-day problems with the material world. How does one
Yes.
get back?
Yeah, we touched on that within the bhakti process, is that there's room, definitely it's for us who are imperfect, who are not in control of all the faculties, who don't know how to properly use human form of life. So the stumbling and the faltering and the falling is just like how the parent, when the child is trying to learn how to walk, how many times do they fall? The parent is not there to say, failure, you nonsense, can't walk. But, picks the child up, encourages them. So because spiritual existence is eternal, we are eternal. We slowly have to also break away from the timelines of this one small life. So now our success here is just the more we can align with the guidance given by Krishna in the scriptures, or those that we revere or are advanced on the path, that is steps in perfection. That is the practice that we're getting. Even in the failures, right, you get the inspiration because now you can decode it properly. Like now I'm always thinking, I really have to listen carefully. Otherwise it costs me so much energy and time. So the process works for us in these turbulent times. We just keep going back to it, and incrementally we will get better. Yeah. Okay. I think we'll do a bit of chanting just to close it off.